What is a macro? What even is a macro? You might have heard this in the fitness industry. What should my macros be? Are my macros on track? Let's talk about macros. Now, a macro is short for macronutrient. There is also a micronutrient. I have here examples of what is what to educate you properly, make it a little more interesting for you, and explain maybe what you should be having when it comes to your daily diet, your nutritional intake. So, a macronutrient is either protein, which we have over here, carbohydrate, which we have examples of here, or fats that we have examples of right here. A micronutrient is your vitamins and your minerals, which are mostly present in your fruits and vegetables that we have some examples of right here. Your diet every day should consist of a mixture of macro and micronutrients. Now, your micronutrients are the things that have a lot of bang for your buck in terms of goodness, right? Now, this is why a lot of us are of ill health and more sick and tired, and we're getting a lot more disease, we're getting a lot more risk of cancer, that kind of thing, because we are deficient in a lot of micronutrients. Now, micronutrients are prevalent in a lot of food, most foods, right? They are highest in quantity in fruits and vegetables, which is why you always get healthier when you consume more fruits and vegetables, and why everybody who's giving you diet advice or health advice would usually say eat more fruits and vegetables, right? The best advice that you got in school was eat your 5 a day, but you're not taking that advice as an adult. Now that means maybe these 2 and 3 bits of fruit. So you're doing a banana, some mixed berries, some broccoli and some peppers, right? Get your 5 a day that way. Or you get, say, you love your veg more, so you do asparagus, broccoli, you do a big salad, and then maybe you fancy an apple, which I don't have on this table. Now you should be getting your 5 a day every day, regardless of what diet you're on, because your micronutrients are where your sources of health are. Your vitamins, your B vitamins, your C vitamin, your vitamin, just every vitamin that's fucking useful to you feeling good and getting healthy. So don't avoid your 5 a day. Now, the good thing is about micronutrients when you're talking fruits and vegetables, yes, people say fruit is fructose, it's sugar. Yes, it is, and it still has to be, you have to be wary of that if you are wanting to lose weight. It should still be within your calorie allowance, but you should not fucking avoid fruit. Do not ever avoid fruit. Eat more fruit in your diet because it is fucking essential to you feeling healthy. Vegetables are the same. Eat more vegetables. Now, vegetables are of lower calorific content than fruit, and they often can be of higher nutritional value. But you should have a good balance of your 5 a day every day. Push these aside a second, the micronutrients. A couple of these could be cast in the macronutrients, but let's talk about that in a second. Let's go with the first one, protein. So yeah, protein, we've got beef mince, we got salmon, we got chicken breast, we got eggs. I always like the organic kind. They taste better, higher welfare for the hens, and they're actually usually more nutrient dense. Yeah, protein. Why do you need protein in your diet? When I say diet, I use it to describe not a diet, I'm going in a diet to lose weight because I need a diet. No, you fucking don't. I've said this before. You don't need a diet, you need a healthy lifestyle. But in order to have a healthy lifestyle, you have to have a balance of macro and micronutrients. That balance will change depending on the person, their activity levels, how their body responds. Some people work great on a high carbohydrate diet. Some people work great on high fat, and I'll talk about this as we go on. But first off, let's elaborate on the protein. Protein is for growth and repair. So what that means is when you do some exercise, you break down muscle tissue and you grow and get stronger when you repair. Now, that if you're a woman listening to this, you might have a fear that you are going to get bulky and muscular and look like this. Now, the only women that look like this you see on social media is the women that are usually taking testosterone, usually taking steroids, growth hormone, etc. Because women have a very low natural testosterone level, meaning building actual solid, bulky, muscular muscle is very difficult for women. So if you are a woman and you're scared of that, ignore it. It ain't gonna fucking happen unless you are consuming thousands and thousands of calories more every week than what you should do. The likely is you're just gonna get fat. Protein is useful for men and women. As humans, we need protein to grow and repair, but it's also what happens when you eat a higher protein diet and get your macronutrient of protein higher is you tend to eat less carbohydrate. Now, carbohydrates get a bad rap, but they're actually very, very useful and beneficial. Protein, however, should not be avoided. The higher protein you have, often you're fuller for longer, meaning that you consume less of the other stuff. You also have more growth and repair from exercise, so you recover better. You will develop more muscle, which is obviously always the goal, to build a little bit more more muscle and maintain it as we age is very, very important. Having more protein in the diet is very, very useful and beneficial, so don't avoid it. Now, move on to carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are the body and brain's fuel. Carbohydrate, when consumed, converts into glycogen, which is fuel for the muscles, but also fuel for the brain. If you've ever went on a low-carb diet, you will feel lethargic, tired. You'll often feel ratty. Your emotions and mood will be all over the place because your brain is starved of fuel. Now, what most people do, though, when we talk about carbohydrates, examples, oats, granola, or any kind of cereal, yogurt, rice, potato, you could also have pasta, bread, but also you could consume sweets and crisps and chocolate in that category as well, which are obviously the things that most people over consume. You could consider pizza in that category as well, which also falls into fat and protein. It's a bit of a mixture. But in terms of carbohydrates, these things are good for you. Now, what I have here is more or less a natural range, apart from the yogurt, which is the only slightly processed thing. These are natural, the granola possibly as well, but these are more natural carbohydrates, complex carbohydrates, which are very useful to get into your daily diet and will help your brain, will help you for fuel for day-to-day life, fuel for focus, fuel for exercise, and they are valuable. Now, what most people do though is over-consume. You want to eat this in one meal. It'd be very, very difficult then to eat an enormous portion of rice and some of this and some of this. You couldn't really do it because this would fill you up, right? Now, however, if you were to just have a bowl of porridge, you know that you can have a big bowl of porridge and an hour later be hungry, because that's what carbohydrates do. They usually spike the blood sugar. We have too much of them, or if we eat one bar of chocolate, we can eat a second. If we have one bag of crisps, we can eat or 2 bags of crisps, we can eat a third, right? If we start eating sweets, holy shit, that's another level, because that's processed sugar that excites our brain. Too much carbohydrate, we can just consume. And this is how we get fat, usually, by consuming too many carbohydrates. But it's not just carbs. Carbs are not the enemy. Calories are the enemy if you over consume them. The third is fats. Now, I've got some examples of fairly healthy fats here. Peanut butter, any kind of nuts or seeds are healthy fat. Coconut oil, healthy fat. Even I'd go as far as to say mayonnaise. Although it is slightly processed, it's something that I would always use to flavour my meals. You just got to be very careful on the calories, because about a tablespoon of this is 100 to 150 calories. It's very high calories unless you get the light option, yes? But these are examples of good fat. Now, good fat is useful for brain health, for regulating your blood sugar, for decreasing inflammation in the body even. You should not be avoiding fat in the diet. The whole low-fat craze that went on in the 90s and the 80s, it's a fad. When we hear the word fat, we think, fat, I don't want to get fat, right? But we don't understand that fat is a macronutrient that is useful and essential in our bodies, and we should have it. Other examples of healthy fat is actually salmon. Contains a natural oil. Salmon, herring, mackerel, oily fish, they are natural fats. Another example is avocado, olive oil. Again, over salads is great. A mild bit of cooking is all right, although this is the best oil to cook in, which maintains its good properties at high temperatures. Dark chocolate is also an example of a good source of fat. Cocoa. This should not be avoided. It should be managed in terms of quantity. This now begs the question of how much should my macros be split? Now, this is a common question that I get asked, and it's not necessarily important when it comes to weight loss. Usually, for most people, if you go to calculator.net and you type in a calorie calculator and type in what your age, height, weight, activity levels is, it'll give you a good example of what your daily calories should be. Now, how you split that over macros does not really matter. As long as you're under your calories, in a deficit of enough calories to lose weight, you will lose weight. No doubt about that. Now, when it comes to body composition, now what I mean by that is how you look, how you feel. That's a different bag, because some people, like myself, work very, very well on an even split of this. So my diet, my nutrition, what I have on a regular daily basis, is approximately 30% fat, 30% carbs, 30% protein. You might not do very well with carbs. You might look at a potato and feel like a hand grenade's gone off in your belly, right? Some people are like that. They might have a slice of bread and blow up like a balloon. So you might work well on a 15% carbs, 50% of protein, and the rest on fats, or vice versa. Everybody's going to be different. Now, what I would say though is the majority of people will respond well to a high protein diet. If you have kidney issues, or if you have a rare condition or disorder or whatever, maybe you need to get checked before going on a high protein diet. But the majority of people, when they increase their protein, they notice better results in their energy. They notice less calories going in overall because they're more satisfied from the food they're eating. They're not overindulging on carbohydrates, which increases the calorific value overall. Therefore, when they increase the macro of the protein on a daily basis, they feel better, lose more weight, and often maintain more muscle, just feel better, recover well. That's always a good idea. But in terms of, you can go onto calculator.net and go on a macro calculator, put your details in and it'll tell you. But there's several options. But it's a one-size-fits-one approach when it comes to what macros you should be doing. I've already mentioned micronutrients, get you 5 a day. Keep it as simple as that, right? Now, if you are a professional bodybuilder, this may be different because you are looking at getting single-digit body fat figures, and it's, you know, it's to an athletic standard. You need a one-to-one nutritionist coach kind of thing for that. That's not really me. I work with people who want to lose weight, supercharge their energy, get fit, feel fucking unbelievable in their mental health, and that doesn't require getting too obsessed with what you eat. Be conscious, but don't be too obsessed. Because what happens is we have this perfectionist attitude towards it. Should be, oh, it needs to be 40% of this and 37.9% of this and 28 point whatever of this. It doesn't really fucking matter. What matters is that you're aware of it. You keep maybe changing your approach to when something doesn't work. You change it for a short while, 3 to 4 weeks to something else to see if it works. But we're talking here about nutrition and diet, macronutrients and micronutrients. That's what people talk about when they talk about macros, proteins, carbs, and fats. How many you need depends on the person. You can play around with it. Like I say, I've found very well with 30, 30, 30, but I'm currently transitioning a little bit to maybe try and up my carbs a bit, keep my protein the same, drop my fat, see how I respond to that. It's always good to change if you're looking for a little change in your body. But what's more important than all of this, and I say this on all of my content, the result destroys the opinion. That's number one point of today. The result, regardless of what anybody else thinks about what you should be doing, if you're getting a good result, it destroys the opinion. Number 2, there's nothing more important than you feeling good. And nobody can tell you what you should or shouldn't do. If you feel bad doing it, that's not good. You need to get to a place where you have the 3 things in play when it comes to diet, nutrition, training, getting in a good headspace. You need the thing that works for you. Now, so many things work, but have you found the thing that actually works for you? Maybe you've had a few things that work, but then it comes the second thing. You need to find the thing that you can sustain, the thing that's doable long term. See, it's pointless me telling you should do 30, 30, 30 this if you can't maintain that for any longer than 5 weeks. This is a lifestyle, it's a diet, nutrition plan I've been on for the last 8 to 10 years. And I can do it every single day. Get me 5 a day, get me 30, 30, 30%. But not only that, you need the third thing in play when it comes to results for you, long-lasting results. So you need to find what works, what you can sustain, but the third thing's probably the most important, what you can enjoy. I mean, how many of us get on a diet that we fucking hate? I remember going on a diet where I just have plain chicken breast and salad with nothing on it. It's fucking boring. And then until I learned, hang on, what if I was to fry this with some herbs and spices, some garlic and some tamari, some, gluten-free soy sauce? What if I was to put some passata in this and really make it nice and tasty and season it with salt and pepper? There's nothing fucking wrong with salt and pepper. We should have more salt in our diet. What if I was to add a little tiny bit olive oil and a squeeze of lemon and some balsamic glaze on this and put some salt on it? That'll really help improve the taste. Then I can sustain that and I can enjoy it. I can understand fruit's not the enemy. I can have, 3 bits of fruit every day and enjoy it with a bit Greek yogurt. I can like that every day. I can enjoy the process. I don't have to be restricting myself and eating bland, boring food. I just need to know how to put it together more. I've got several other videos on YouTube and on my socials on how to do all this. My free content is better than most people's paid content. And that's the fucking truth. That's a cold, hard fact right there. And I'm doing this because I like to give value to improve the quality of people's lives. I know if you're watching this far, there's probably had an impact on you at some point. If it has, drop me a little comment. Let me know how you've enjoyed my videos in the past. Or if this is your first one, let me know what's been the biggest takeaway from it. I'd love to know in the comments. Tag your friend that might need to see this. Tag your partner who keeps saying, I'm going on a diet. And tell them they don't need to. They just need to eat better, get into a great lifestyle, and have the 3-part formula. What works, what you can sustain, and what you enjoy. Hey, this has been all about macros. I hope you've learned something. Let me know your biggest learning point below, and I'll see you on the next one. If you'd like to learn how to create outstanding levels of energy, motivation, and self-control, my second book, Supercharged, the modern day guide to doing exactly that, is out now.